call to order the meeting of the Finance Committee for Thursday, October 5th, 2023. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Thanks for everyone at home watching. This is the reminder to please silence your phones. If everyone in the audience could please silence your phones, that would be excellent too. Thank you very much for the reminder to remind the audience. And again, I'm going to mention this. We will keep the discussion related to the articles at hand. We will not have any crosstalk. We will wait to be recognized, and we will get through this tonight. All right. First of all, we have minutes on the agenda, minutes of August 16. You should have all received a copy of those minutes. Do we have a motion for the minutes of August 16, 2023?
I move to accept the minutes.
We have a motion and a second. Laura's the second on that. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none. Minutes of August 16, 2023 approved. Okay, next we have the matters relating to the November special town meeting warrant articles. So we're going to go through the articles one by one. Okay, Article 1, collective bargaining, dispatchers union. Anybody have a motion on this? Any discussion?
I'll move that we accept this proposed motion and forward it to town meeting.
Okay, motion. Elliot's the second on there. Okay, motion and a second to accept this, recommend the town meeting. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions?
One note I want to,
Okay, Mr. Anzavino?
because when they did this, they had indicated, now that my mic is on, originally they had indicated these were no cost, and then they ended up changing that because they were funded already through the existing fiscal year budgets. What I'd like to do is, we did get the chart on the contracts, and I'd like to just add a note from the Finance Committee that there's no additional cost, but I'd like to put what we were given for the FY, like the dispatch, right? FY23 was $400,000, and FY24 is $404,000. I think town meeting should be made aware that that money was already covered, but they should know what it cost them to put those in.
Do you want to change the motion?
No, I just want to put it in as a note.
Okay.
Because they originally listed these as no cost, which is not really true. It's no additional cost, but it did cost you something. So the chart that we were given from MJ that gave us the estimated summary of costs for the MOAs, I'd just like to put those figures in as a note, Finance Committee note that, you know, this is what.
You guys will be sitting at the table in front of the...
So as long as,
I have just a quick question. Is this information that's not going to already be presented in that chart, what you're referring to? That's all I want
the
to know.
chart will be in there.
The chart will be in
But
the
the
book.
chart doesn't do a good enough job of illustrating your point.
I want to put it with the article so that people aren't trying to find it later, or they're asking questions and you go, it's in the chart in the back, read the book.
Okay, thank you.
Just put a little note in there, just as an FYI, this is what the cost was. It's going to be, you know, the backup material will be in there, but
At least put the page that it's going to be.
I just think it would be more transparent to see that it's not no cost, that it was already accounted for.
Do you
in
want a
these fiscal
sentence that
years.
says the additional cost is?
I'll just take what they've had in the chart and just give that the estimated summary of costs for this MOA was $400,000 for FY23 and $404,000 for FY24. Because the motions say it was covered in the, you know, that they were implementing the terms for those two periods. So people are going to ask. If you don't have it, they're going to ask, how much is the cost? And tell them it's no cost is not accurate. There's no additional cost to the budgets that they already voted. They just didn't know that that's what it was costing them at the time. So,
Everyone good with that?
everyone good?
Okay.
I'll do that, and that's for all the contracts, from the charts that we were given.
And we'll put the charts in the book. so
And the
everyone
charts
able
will
to
be in
follow.
there to give the details, if you will, but
Does this mean you're changing your vote from a no to a yes? Because
I didn't vote no.
Oh, it is unanimous?
Yes.
12 to 0 then?
Yeah, why, did you want to vote no, Dave?
No, I thought he had voted no with his,
Oh, no.
You,
No, no.
you,
okay.
you're using the word.
So I
Any
used-
abstentions on that vote? No? Okay, so it's
So it's
unanimous.
12 to 0, is that
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Article 2.
And
collective
that was
bargaining.
to accept and recommend the article to town meeting,
Is that
right?
correct, Joel? Accept and recommend?
I'll take accept and recommend. I'm going to do the next one too, so,
I'm
okay.
just asking, I thought that's what you had said, and I...
Yes, accept and recommend is what I said.
Okay.
Article 2, collective bargaining, police patrol union. Do we have a motion on this?
Yes, I would like to move in honor of my son-in-law, who is a police officer, that we accept and recommend Article 2 and forward it to town meeting as annotated by Mr. Anzavino.
Laura's the second on that? Okay, motion and a second. All in favor? Any discussion on that? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, passing unanimously. Article 3, collective bargaining, SPAEA. You're done, Joel? Okay. Do we have a motion on Article 3?
Yeah, I'll move we accept and recommend this article at town meeting.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion on Article 3? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, unanimous. Article 4, collective bargaining, police superior officers.
Motion to accept Article 4, collective bargaining, police superior officers.
Elliot's the second on that. Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion? Article 4, collective bargaining, police superior officers. Okay, all in favor? Yes, Laura.
Sorry, are we adding notes to each of these for what John brought up?
Each contract will have, yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. Oh.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion on Article 4? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, unanimous. Article 5, collective bargaining library. We have a motion on Article 5.
Yeah, I'll move we accept and recommend to town meeting.
Second on that? Elliot, you're the second on that? Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion? Article 5, collective bargaining library. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? You're abstaining? Okay. Okay. Adam is
So that's
abstaining.
11,
Article
nothing,
5.
Adam.
Okay, Article
Oh, yeah, of course.
6.
Motion to accept supplemental fiscal year 2024 departmental budgets.
Thank you, Dave. Okay, motion, do we have a second
I'll
on that?
second that. Laura.
Laura gets a second.
Laura.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Article 6, supplement fiscal year 2024 departmental budgets. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, unanimous. And Article 7 is being withdrawn.
I would like to just say, on the ones that are in here that say they're going to be withdrawn, and the two that weren't done that way, but we did get the email, I'd like to just put a note in there that the Finance Committee took no action because the article was, we were told the article was going to be withdrawn, just to make the note. So we make no recommendation.
Okay, so that's your motion then?
My motion is just to add the note on
That what you just,
anyone to be withdrawn, that we just say the Finance Committee took no action as the article was
I agree,
presented
or
to be
second that
withdrawn.
if you need a second. I agree
okay.
with that.
Dave, you're the second on that?
I'll find the same note we use,
Okay. Okay, so Article 7,
no action.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, unanimous. Okay, Article 8, unpaid bills. Do we have a motion on unpaid bills, Article 8?
I'll move that we accept and recommend this.
Elliott's the second. Any discussion on Article 8 unpaid bills? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, any abstentions? Hearing none. Okay, unanimous. Do we want to take Article 9, 11, 18, and 19 as a group now, as a batch right now?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't specify what the
Yeah,
numbers were.
that's why I'm calling it out now. Article
Yep.
9, let me see. Do we have a motion to take Article 9, 11, 18, and 19 together? Those are the remaining 4 articles that are to be withdrawn. Okay, Elliot, it's a motion. Do we have a second on that? Mark? Okay. Yes.
So you have 11,
Hopefully I got the numbers right.
yep, you have 9,
9,
9, 11, 18,
11.
19.
18,
there's
19.
another
yeah.
one though, right? Oh, we did the other one, yeah.
Yeah, then I just thought of it now. We can
9,
bundle them.
11, yeah, I didn't really say that clear enough when I said I wanted to do it on all of them. So that's 9, 11, 18, and 19, right?
Yeah, and Elliot has the motion to
To take them all together.
take them together, right? Do we have a second on
Yeah,
that?
Mark did.
Mark, yes, okay.
Yeah,
And Diane just got here, right?
Okay, motion to take Article 9, 11, 18, and 19 together. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions?
I will,
You'll abstain on,
yeah, because I'm not even, I just got here, so. I'm
Okay.
not sure what to do.
well, we're just bundling 9, 11,
Yeah.
18, and 19.
Right, we
So
didn't,
the-
Those are withdrawn?
Yeah, so we can
Yes.
put one note for,
we don't need a separate vote to actually.
yeah, we're trying to bundle
We
it.
don't have to vote to bundle,
So you
right?
don't have to put-
That's
had
the
a vote to bundle them.
Okay,
Now
do
we
we,
have to have a vote.
do,
Yeah,
so do
and
we have,
I'll make the motion that the same thing, we'll add the note that we took no action because they were being withdrawn.
Mark, is a second? Okay, so there's a motion to, as Mr. Anzavino pointed out, take no action because we were told they're being withdrawn. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, any abstentions? Okay, unanimous? Okay, so that's
That's
9,
That's 13 then?
That's 13,
Okay, so it was 9, 11.
18, and 19.
10, right?
Yes. Okay.
9, 11, 18, and 19, yeah. Okay.
I didn't miss much.
No, you didn't miss much. Article 10, purchase of 30 Porter Street property for town parking.
I'll make the motion that we accept and forward, approve and accept this motion and forward it to town meeting.
That's a motion. Do we have a second on that? Article 10, purchase of 30 Porter Street property for town parking. Do we have a second on that?
Motion?
No,
Do we have a second anywhere on this?
Well, if there's
Well-
no second, I guess we can't move forward.
Well,
We will, I'm going to second this for discussion, because we're going to have discussion.
I'm sorry, I can't accept that. I didn't make a motion for discussion. I made a motion that said that we're going to,
That's right, and I'm seconding that for the purpose that we're going to have a discussion on it. I don't want it cut off that he's just going to a vote. If you want to withdraw your motion, say so.
okay, I'll withdraw my motion and you can do another motion that you feel is more acceptable.
Article 10,
Yeah.
purchase of 30 Porter Street property for town parking. So do we have a motion on that?
I'm going to move that we reject this article.
We don't want to have a negative,
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we accept this article for discussion.
All right, and I'll second it. Who said that? Okay, no, that's fine.
I just don't want to confuse town meeting with a negative
Yeah.
motion and
Well-
have it all crazy.
who
So
seconded that? Lauren.
Lauren,
Okay. Chet, you want the second on that? I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you.
I've already written it down, I'm not changing it.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't hear. I'm sorry about that, Chet.
I already wrote it down, I'm not changing it.
So we have a motion and a second.
Now
Have any
discussion.
discussion on Article 10, purchase of 30 Porter Street property for town parking?
Yes.
Chet?
Chet had his hand up.
Chet, you ready? Or no, Elliot? Okay. I don't know about that, you know.
I wouldn't go that far. I do not think we should spend $440,000 on .071 acres of a building. If the building is definitely in need of tearing down. However, I do not believe that the town should be responsible, the owner should be responsible. They weren't responsible in maintaining it. It's their responsibility to tear it down, and I just can't possibly go along with $440,000 for 21 parking spaces.
Is that a wrecking ball with a W? Is that what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, .071 acres for $400,000, $440,000. To me, that's, I don't know how much it is a square inch, but it's a lot.
All right.
That was next.
Thank you. Chet, do you have something to add to this?
I just want to concur with my friend over here. Years ago, when we have an interim town manager, they had the municipal parking lot by the police station for employees to park. Then all of a sudden, like, all the employees now are parking in the areas that we as citizens park. Okay, so I don't see the reason and the need to buy this property. I mean, for that amount of money, it's crazy. That the place is condemned, and it should be torn down by the owner, not by the town, and the town should not buy it. We should not be in the business of buying property like we have been, you know, so that's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Left side.
Jonna?
When I thought about it a little more, I started thinking about the oil tank that's there and the critters that are there, and I'm thinking environmentally it could be a very expensive project, and I don't see why we would want to take that on. So I don't think it's a prudent purchase.
All right, thank you very much. Lauren, did you have something to add?
So it may not be a prudent purchase, but it may be in the discussion. If we have this discussion, like, what happens after the discussion we have?
What happens after this discussion right now?
No, the discussion that we were talking about having, like, we're not just going to, like, get rid
This
of
is the discussion.
Right now, tonight, what's
So
going
this
on
is
right
the
now?
discussion. Okay.
We have a motion
So
and
I
a second,
think
and then we have discussion, then we take a vote.
Oh, all right. So I actually think that there's a lot that could be done if we do purchase it, but I do agree, the money that is being asked for that is not a good decision. So I do think that there should be more negotiation regarding the purchase, but I really do think that the parking and what the potential that it could bring and the revenue that it could bring, you know, once the urban renewal stuff is all in place, I really do think it's potentially a great thing.
All right,
David?
thank you.
David?
Dave, you have a question or a
Yeah,
comment?
thank you, Vaughn, through you. So I also thought about, you know, gee, the merits of this thing. You know, I picture, you know, the building as it is, or it torn down and it just having a parking lot. And on the face of it, wow, wouldn't that be great if we could just wave a magic wand and just remove all the blight in our town? It disappears. And we, you know, and there's a different argument around the economic development, and I'll touch on that, but we don't have a magic wand in this town. If we start judging like, well, how many other parcels could we just eliminate blight we drive ourselves into the poorhouse where we don't need to be. So we can't just make decisions based on, boy, but what is the upside? You know, it's just magically going to look great. You know, that's not good enough. And on the economic development side, those are the ideas for those projects are not in front of us. How do we know they're going to be good projects? You think that we're going to have a unanimous town meeting vote on the ideas for these economic development things? We should know what those economic development ideas are before we're told that this project is going to facilitate something else. We don't know what those things are. It says, oh, it's some mystical, magical economic development. It's not good enough for me. So it's too expensive, like everybody else has said. I'm not going to comment on that. But just because we remove blight doesn't mean it's a good idea.
All right, thank you very much for that. Adam?
Yeah, I guess sort of on Dave's point there. I think it's great that, you know, we got a really nice explanation yesterday about the master plan, that there is some thought going into it. You know, not that let's buy this building and then we'll figure out what to do with it later. That's more what I'm worried about. So at least there is some thought. There is a master overall plan that is in process. Now, we may not agree with everything. We may not see everything right now, but as long as there's something, and I absolutely agree we can't spend this money on this. This doesn't make any sense at all, but I love the planning and the forethought that's going into this, so thanks.
All right, thank you very much. Laura, you have something to add to this?
Just adding on what everyone else said, I do think we could have had more about the master plan, because I think just looking at the parking lot and then kind of alluding to something to do with the police station or other aspects just wasn't enough information. I think we're all in agreement that that house, something needs to happen with it, but not at the cost that's proposed in the article. So I think the way that the article is written is I'm not supportive of.
All right, thank you. John?
I mean, I'm looking at it as the tip of the iceberg. We're going to get it, if we buy this house, what's the next, and we end up having the 21E comes back and goes, okay, now we got to go do this step, and now we have to go vote on more money later. So I just think this $440,000 is the tip of the iceberg, and we'll be back here discussing this house again in a future date as our committee. It'll be like, okay, it'll still be standing and still be an eyesore. So at this time, I'd rather just kind of we're in a special kind of put our ducks in a row and figure it out a little bit better and proceed with a better idea, and just going in with it blindly right now, not knowing the condition on the inside and the oil tank, and, you know, there's too many variables, and I just think this is the tip of the iceberg if we start right now, and we'll still have an eyesore in 6 to 12 to 18 to 24 months.
All right, thank you very much for that. Any other comments on this? Diane, you have a comment?
I do. Thank you, Vaughn. I have to agree with Elliot. I think this is way too much money for way too little spots. But I also think there hasn't been anybody, maybe Cynthia can probably tell me better, but I don't think there's been anybody in that house for probably close to 20 years. More than that, I'm sure. I'm just...
I've seen people going in and out of that house within the last year. They're probably squatters, but there's people living there.
Well, that's, number one, my biggest concern. From what I've heard, the house is literally falling apart, and I'm really kind of afraid that if a few kids get in there and we have an issue with that house, that it's going to be more liability for the town, mainly because the town probably should have condemned it 10 to 15 years ago. And once they do that, it's up to the owner to demolish the house, not the town. So I think something being said to the Board of Health might move this along a little faster than we think. Thank you.
Thank you very much. John?
I agree with everything that's been said, and I'm glad it seems evident to me which way it's headed. But I just want to, and I want to remind you, you're talking the cost that they list here for a parking lot. You're not getting a parking lot. What you're getting is a leveled lot with a filled-in foundation and gravel. If you listened last night, you were told it's being done in phases because Mr. Tisdale wanted to have a plan done that could be priced out to come back with the actual design. So first of all, you're not getting the parking lot for the 440. I don't believe the 440 is going to cover the cost of the 391 to purchase it, which I think is too high, and it only leaves $49,000. I'm thinking it might be twice that to demolish it. And the 21E, I really didn't get a good answer last night of how are you going to do a 21E? You got to get in that basement. That house is probably back in the 30s, whatever. You could have asbestos in there from the materials they used to use and so forth. And the only thing is that would be a condition of the sale. But how are you going to do the 21E if the house really shouldn't be entered? I mean, I'm telling you, the ceilings have collapsed. You can see, you can see right through to the sky. But mainly, just keep in mind, I know people had mentioned so much per parking spot and so forth. There's 4 spots out there now. They're talking about going to 19. It gives you 15,000. It gives you 15 more spots. It's almost $30,000 a spot. And that's without the actual cost of putting the parking lot in. As I said last night, I'm totally against this. I hope the whole committee is. I just don't think it's prudent. I don't know why the building hasn't been condemned to date. It's been deteriorating for decades, and it's worse and worse. And worst of all, it's right next to Town Hall. You can't say that they don't know about it. I mean, I have no idea why it's just been let go and let go and let go. And I don't think the appraisal wasn't complete in my mind because the last sale they had was from 2009. The person who bought it in 2009 is not the owner today. And the sale in 2009 was $150,000. There's a reason for that. It was already, in tough shape. And nothing's been done since then other than getting worse and having stuff fall apart. So I would recommend everybody vote no on this article.
All right, thank you very much for that. Any other?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're very welcome. Any other comments or discussion on Article 10, purchase of 30 Porter Street property for town parking? We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor?
Oh, wait, read the motion again, please.
The motion was to accept and pass it on to town meeting.
Got it, okay, thank you.
Dave, you made the motion.
Yeah, just in case you didn't
Remember
know.
what your motion was?
It was, yes, okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
And then Lauren, you seconded the motion. So, okay, so yes, you did. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Can you explain what the yes vote will mean and the no vote so I can see some?
Well, the motion was to, Dave, you want to repeat your motion?
It was a positive motion to accept
Yes.
this article. So if you vote yes, you're going to be endorsing the idea that we should have this demolition project to get an empty lot.
Lauren.
So I was, me being new, I thought the discussion was going to happen at a different time, like regather the people involved. So if this was the discussion, no, I don't agree with going forward with the article. I thought the discussion was going to happen at.
Oh, no, this is the discussion. What's going on right now is the discussion.
Okay, so that's
The public
what I
hearings, we got
misunderstood.
all the information, questions, and comments, and then tonight we deliberate, we
Okay.
talk about it, everybody throws in their
2 cents.
2 cents.
Yeah, with the information
Or
that we
$440,000.
have and everything, I would
We
say
have-
no.
So we have a motion and a second now. So what's going to happen is we're going to take a vote like we did on all the other ones. And either you're in favor of the motion, which was to accept and recommend to
accept,
town
yeah.
meeting.
Yeah,
So that means you believe that this is a good thing, and you'd be willing to recommend this to town meeting. And a no vote would be you don't agree with that. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor? All opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Any?
All right, we'll raise hands. Mark.
Why?
So it's unanimous.
What's the difference?
It's unanimous, yeah.
And there was no
Well,
exception.
they would
11, 12,
Everybody raised
in
their
favor,
hand.
and
Zero-
everyone was
0 to
opposed. And now I'm going to ask for abstentions. Any abstentions? Okay,
So I have 0 to 13.
Thank you very much for that, Dave. Article 12, because we're skipping over 11, we bundled that. Article 12, emergency medical services life safety equipment for the fire department. Do we have a motion on that?
I move that we accept and recommend this.
Okay. Laura's the second on that. Motion and a second. Any discussion on Article 12, Emergency Medical Services, Life Safety Equipment, Fire Department? It's a pretty long title. Joel?
Yeah, last night Mr. Anzavino was uncertain of the numbers.
No, they clarified that last night.
Are we all set on that then? So this is the right number, 147,975.
Yeah, I had missed
99.
I had missed the trade-ins and what have you there.
Okay, in that case, I have no other comments.
Okay, any other comments, Article 12?
I
Diane.
just have one. It says in the article to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds.
No. Let me tell you what the motion is right now,
Right.
because you probably have the older one.
Oh,
The latest and greatest, the motion is that the town vote to appropriate $147,975.99 to pay for the purchase of 3 cardiac monitors, 2 Lucas devices, and 3 ambulance stair chairs with a credit for equipment, and as funding therefore to authorize the treasurer with the approval of the select board to borrow said sum under and pursuant to provisions of general law, chapter 44, section 7, or any other enabling authority. That's what the motion is now.
okay, thank you, John. I do
You're
have
welcome.
the older draft.
Okay, so motion and second on the floor. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that's unanimous. Two.
No, one
John, you're abstaining.
abstention.
Sorry
Yeah.
about that. So
One abstention.
John Walters
Yes, one
abstaining, yes.
one extension, one abstention.
Okay. Okay, Article
14.
13 was not asked, so
skipping
14.
13. We didn't get lucky enough to get
Yeah.
13.
Did we do all the collective bargaining stuff?
Yes,
Yes.
we did.
Oh,
Yes, you missed it.
I got the note.
the note on the bottom?
I-
saying-
yeah.
Vote on, you want to vote on collective bargaining? You got to get here early, right? I'm just kidding.
Pinocchio, really?
I brought that up.
Thank you. So we're going to put that in
That
sort
note-
of in
there'll
the
be a
notes on the
notation
bottom?
on the cost,
Great,
yeah.
thank you.
Article 14, Truck Public Works. Do we have a motion on Article 14, Truck Public Works?
Oh, why do I still?
And again, this would be a borrowing article.
Do we have a motion anywhere on Article 14?
All right, I'll make the motion that we approve and accept this article and forward it for a town meeting.
Second.
That Elliot?
Elliott's the second, Article 14. Motion and a second. Any discussion on Article 14, Truck Public Works? Chet?
Oh, Joel has his hand up first.
Okay.
Go ahead, Joel.
I'm actually in favor of the article. I just wanted to bring the point that when we bring these articles forward at a special town meeting, as has been mentioned before, we have to go for borrowing on these, and I think that that's not a really good idea. So the only reason I would say to vote against it is to say defer it to annual town meetings so that instead of borrowing the money, if free cash, which is certified, we might be able to use that, that's fine. Other than that, it's a small amount of money. I think it's necessary, so I'm in favor of the article.
Okay, Chet, did you have a comment on this?
Actually, my comment was what Joe was saying.
Thank you.
I know, unbelievable, huh? We agree.
Good-looking guy.
The other thing, I'm sorry?
I'm stuck in the middle here.
The other thing I just like to ask, I didn't ask the other night with Paul. We have 2 trucks now, right? They call it rack trucks with lifts. So are we anticipating a lot of more white components, like mattresses, refrigerators, wash machines, and things like that, that we need to have 3 vehicles? That's my question.
I don't know what we're anticipating.
Pardon?
Nobody here to answer the question.
Oh, I know that, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think we need to.
I believe they're replacing truck number 48.
Yes.
That question was asked. It's not adding into the fleet. They said that this was going to replace vehicle number 48.
Okay, then I missed that. Did I miss that?
I don't have the list. Actually, I could find the list.
No,
Make sure
that's-
Article 48 is a truck.
Okay, but
I mean, truck
no,
48 is a truck. Oh, you're a truck 48? Okay, your notes say truck 48? Okay.
Okay.
Truck 48, I guess.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, then, okay, thank you.
We have any other discussion on Article 14, truck public works?
Okay, so I'm going to be.
Mark?
Yes, I have to agree with one of the previous speakers, voting no on this, due to the fact that we're going to be having an auction coming up very soon that would actually cover the cost of this. So if we wait until the spring, then we'll have actual cash instead of borrowing. So it'll bring down the cost of the vehicle. So that's my opinion on it.
Okay, any other discussion on this? Dave, you have a comment?
Yeah, I do, through you. The previous speaker, so I think when we heard the presentation on, I know we kind of talk liberally about multiple articles sometimes, but that auction, I believe, can only be used for services that they want. They can't buy equipment with it. So that monies would be off limit from buying something.
That's a different story.
The auction money will go right into our general fund.
Correct.
Oh, okay. So it wouldn't, so that wasn't what you meant then at all, right? It was,
No, it
Meant
had
the
nothing to do
spring
with the
being-
article. In the spring meeting, we'll have
spring meeting will have certified money
certified money to
on the free cash
pay
side.
for this car.
All right, now I understand.
Sorry.
Okay. No, I'm good.
Thank you, Dave. Diane, you have something to add to this?
I'm going to agree with everyone. I think this really should be put off until the spring. If they had come in and said it was going to have a plow on the front of it, I might have thought a little differently, but I wrote down that, no plow. So it won't be used for any plowing during the winter. And again, I don't want to borrow. The one thing I am so sorry I didn't ask the other night is what the current interest rate is for us to borrow.
Oh, it's funny you should ask that, because I asked that last night.
Honest, did you?
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
And according to Mary Jane, the current rate that they're saying is 4 to 4.25. Most likely 4.25 is. I mean, I can read you the email. Actually, I'm going to read the email right now because it's very short, and I need to practice my reading anyway. So. Yeah, exactly. It says, listed below is a response from Sender Hilltop Securities as current bond rates. Hi, Mary Jane. What term bonds and how much are you wanting to get a better idea about borrowing rates? Currently, on average, a 20-year bond is 4% to 4.25%, likely 4.25%. But if you want a better idea about a longer or shorter term, let us know some specifics. Thanks. So you're looking at 4 to 4.25. That's on a 20-year bond. I don't know if you do a 20-year bond on a truck, but that's just a ballpark idea. I asked Mary Jane last night. So. Joel?
Yeah, for some reason, I think that on equipment, they go with a 10-year bond. Does that sound right? That seems to me, I've heard that in past
That sounds accurate, yeah.
past years, because they don't want to take a 20-year bond on a piece of equipment that may not last more than 10 years.
No, and that's what they look at, is the life expectancy.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah. Okay.
If they're looking at this as a 10-year truck, that's probably the note they'd be looking for, but
Or they could use a bond anticipation note. I have no idea how they really want to do it.
I'm just reading
I have
the
a question
responses
for you,
for you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Joel.
Could we make a motion to defer this article to the annual town meeting? Is that a possible motion that the Finance Committee could make?
I think we could make a note that we could recommend something. I mean, if that's, I mean, it's,
So
We've done it
instead
in
of
the past.
saying accept and recommend and move forward, you say accept and defer to annual town meeting?
I think, Joel, you would have to vote on this article, and if the article got defeated, you could then say, can the Finance Committee put a note in that they voted against this, and their recommendation is to bring this back at the annual town meeting?
we've done it in
Well,
previous
based on what I've said before and what others have said, I'm not sure that the bond is a good way of doing it, but this is only $130,000, and I don't think that's going to be a big crusher, and I know that they need the truck, so I'm going to say I'm still in favor of this article.
All right, thank you very much. please identify yourself for the record, Cynthia.
Cynthia Walsh, 1096 Park Street, professional know-it-all. You can't defer anything. You can withdraw it, you can dismiss it, you can say yes or no.
Okay, that's right. We've had this discussion before.
We could vote no and say we voted no, but we would like to see it come back in the spring.
And why?
And why. We've done it in the past where we vote no and add a note. But we have any other discussion on Article 14, Truck Public Works? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Two. Okay. All opposed?
You can raise hand, yeah. if you're
Okay.
saying-
Any abstentions?
Oh, no, abstention.
Who is in favor?
Did you say,
Joel and John.
You are in favor, okay.
Oh, 3, so who was it?
3 yeses, yes.
can we make sure we have a count of the noes then?
We can do that if you want.
Yeah, I didn't.
Just do.
Okay.
I would guess 10.
We're gonna do 13 minus 3. Okay.
These are the no's.
5, 6, 7, 8 noes?
8 no's? We have 8 or 10.
No.
We have 10 years.
That's what I'm saying.
We're missing. Is
There
there
were 13 people here. Who voted in favor of the article?
Let's do this again. All in favor?
1, 2,
Okay.
3.
Okay, 3. All opposed?
1, 2, 3, 4.
It's got to be 10,
7, 8, 10.
unless somebody's abstaining.
So who was the third one that voted yes?
Okay. Okay.
Adam voted.
Lauren voted yes.
Adam voted. Was-
Joel voted yes.
Yeah.
And John voted yes.
Boy, for a finance committee, it's tough we can't get to 13.
Okay, let's go over this again. 13 minus 3. Okay.
Can we make a recommendation
Now,
that that be
do
put?
we have a motion to follow up on that?
Yeah, I'd move that we put a note in that the finance committee
That's what I said, John.
recommends that they bring this back at the annual town meeting when it's possible that you could pay cash for this vehicle.
I will second that.
Okay, John's a motion and Diane's a second on that. To add that note, could you please repeat that again, Mr. Anzavino?
Sure. I'd like to put a note in that the finance committee recommends this be brought back at the annual town meeting when it's possible we may be able to pay cash for the vehicle.
Okay, that's a motion and the second. Any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, it's unanimous to add that note. Okay, next, Article 15, fire alarm systems upgrades at Cedar Hill. Do we have a motion on this?
This is an easier one. I move that the Finance Committee accept and recommend that it move forward to town meeting.
Okay.
That was Elliot.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion on this? I want to let everyone know that Mary Jane did get back to me, and she says that the $30,000 can be funded through the Cedar Hill Enterprise retained earnings, and she said that there was over $200,000 in there.
Right.
That's what she told me.
Pay for that truck?
You know, it's funny you should say it. She actually specifically told me, but you can't use the money for anything else tonight. Okay.
Can
And
we make
that's
that
the-
part of the motion?
The motion,
That-
no, the motion that's in the book right now is going to be that the town vote to appropriate $30,000 from the Cedar Hill Golf Course Enterprise Fund retained earnings to fund fire alarm system upgrades at the Cedar Hill Golf Course. That's the motion that'll be in the book.
I'm okay
Okay,
with that.
motion and a second. Any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions on that? Okay. Article 16, roadway resurfacing. Do we have a motion on Article 16, roadway resurfacing?
Yeah, I'll move that we accept and recommend this article.
Elliot's the second on that? Motion and a second on Article 16. Any discussion on Article 16? Mark?
Yes, I do have a question on it or discussion about it. The way that the proposed motion is written,
You're looking at the latest one?
I believe so.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. They weren't dated to say which ones.
I know, and they're supposed to, too. They said they would do that, but
If a grant or any of that comes in before they doing the resurfacing or any of that, can it go towards this, or is it written that it's borrowed only?
I don't think you could. I think it would be supplanting, I think is what they call it. I don't think you could take, I mean, it's not mentioned in the motion. I might be wrong, but it's.
for what? I couldn't quite hear you, Mark.
The
So
grant
if any other
comes
money
in.
comes in for repaving, can it go towards this or not? Or do we just have to borrow everything for this?
Well, we've approved funding articles previously when they've told us they've applied for grants, and if the grant comes in, they would just reduce the borrowed amount. So I would think if they get a grant that would be usable for this purpose, that as long as they haven't borrowed the money already, they could.
Right. But it's so that the way that it's written, they can do that or not? I just want to make sure, because I know the other ones, it was just, we're borrowing, and that's the only option.
So I guess it would come down to if we've already borrowed the money then, right?
I would think, yeah.
It's not mentioned in here about the grants. That's the only thing, I mean.
I'm not aware of any grants that have been applied for to do the roads, so.
There was discussion about grants during the deliberation, so I actually appreciate what you're saying, because that was, I thought, a very important part
Right.
was, what about
Seems very
Chapter 90?
limited.
You know, isn't it supposed to be used for the roads? And this isn't, and it was many, many years ago, before I was even on Finance Committee, I never saw articles like this, at least this size an article. You know, so it's like, why all of a sudden, why don't we use grant money? And
we
then
get Chapter 90 money every
and
year.
it was that they've got hundreds of roads that they're trying to catch up on. It's the fact that we're behind on the road work, and they're in a catch-up mode. So all Chapter 90 money is going to be used just as it always had, and this is catch-up on the other roads that are just so far behind. So even if there was money, extra money would be used for catching up. All right, that was the understanding I got from the meeting, but I had the same concern.
Right.
that you had.
If I remember correctly, when they mentioned grants, I might have been wrong, but I thought they said something about the reason they were doing smaller streets was because the state's more likely to come up with grant money on larger roads. So they said something along those lines, like, we're going to do small roads because it's likely if the state's going to throw money down, it would be on larger roads. Like,
I think that's what it was.
so I'm thinking if there was a grant, it might be for the larger roads. And I'm only guessing that because of they mentioned something about, it was about the smaller roads.
Okay. All right, I just didn't want to limit the funding for that, that's all.
Well, that's a great question, though. Any other discussion on Article 16? Motion and a second.
I have a question.
Diane?
And I'm so sorry I didn't bring, thank you, Ron. I'm so sorry I didn't bring my rather large book in from, but didn't we approve money in the last town meeting for road surfacing? Didn't we approve money
Yes.
last May?
And if I recall correctly, the plan here is that rather than approving roads in the spring, they wanted to try to do this in the fall to get a jump, I guess you'd call it, on the construction season, so that everything's already lined up when construction season rolls around in the spring. They're already ready to go, rather than approving in the spring and then not getting all the ducks in a row till
Okay.
the fall.
I'm very sorry that I didn't ask how much of the money that we appropriated already, that they've spent. Because if they still have a good parcel of that money left, they could probably wait until the spring to do this, even with all the collaboration and stuff to figure out. I'm not in favor, like Mark, I'm not in favor. I don't want to spend money now borrowing when we could probably put a lot of this stuff all together and borrow in one thing, which we've done plenty times before, so. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other discussion? Article 16. Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I guess.
All opposed?
1, 2, 3, 4. And could, I had 9 to 4. Could I see who was opposed again? This is just my own. Okay. Laura and Jonah. That was, Jonah did that, right? She was the last one, I believe. Jonah, you voted against, right? Okay. Thank you. It was 9 to 4. No abstentions, right?
Okay, any abstentions on that? Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
actually, it would have been, it would have been 8 to 4 because Eric wasn't at his, unless we,
No, Eric, I think we,
yeah. No, I'm only, I was joking because you weren't there, so. We're now up to 14, but
Marking the minutes being tardy.
I always mark when people arrive and when they leave early.
okay, Article 17, water main upgrades and improvements. Do we have a motion on Article 17, water main
I'll
upgrades?
make a motion, we accept Article 17 for the water main upgrades and improvements.
And that's,
Do we have a second? Lauren, you're the second on that?
all right, so that was Dave and Lauren.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion? Article 17, water main upgrades and improvements.
I just have a comment.
Sure.
Is that I'm in favor of doing this. You know, I don't have a problem with the actual, merits of the article. It's the fact that there's no money really in these enterprise accounts. They just did a rate increase to cover the deficits that they had in all these enterprise accounts. So now they're going to be using borrowing against the enterprise account. So what does that mean? That means that the people who pay for water, they're going to see a rate increase to cover this plus the cost of water going forward. So I just wanted to be clear that that's actually what's going to end up happening, because unless the whole town takes it up as a debt service item where everybody in town pays a little piece of water, that's really what's going to happen. It's either the enterprise account or the general fund. So I just think it's important that it's stated that that's what's going to happen when we vote yes on this.
Actually, I don't know how much money is available.
No, that's what I mean. They're going to borrow, right?
I know they're
Their
going to
rates will
borrow,
have-
and the
their
debt
rates
service would
will
go
have-
against their enterprise.
Which means they have to raise the rates to cover. That's the only other way. How else would they get money?
No, they just spent 2 million, well, 1.9 for the.
Joel, do you have a
meters.
comment on this?
Yeah, I think I just reread the article, and it doesn't specifically state that it would be borrowed against the enterprise fund. Will that be a problem, or is that just a natural assumption? Because if I read the article and it doesn't mention the enterprise fund, it means that it's going to go against the general fund borrowing.
Well, the borrowing, yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, you guys all know there's a difference between a bond in the enterprise fund and a bond in the general fund. So,
Yeah, the enterprise fund would pay.
the people who are paying the water bills pay for the bond in the enterprise fund, but I don't see enterprise fund anywhere in this article.
Well, I suppose that could be brought up at town meeting if they could amend the motion to make sure that's included. That's not expanding the scope, it would just be adding in something that they left out.
Well, can we amend the motion we just made?
We can't.
We can't amend the motion?
Well, I wouldn't want to try to amend it without having the absolute
Okay.
proper wording. You could ask for it on town meeting.
Well, I was going to say we could amend the motion to say contingent upon the borrowing being part of the enterprise fund, which is how I would amend it.
That would have to
Cynthia,
be.
would you like to identify yourself for the record? You have something to add?
Cynthia Walsh, 1096 Park Street, 40-year veteran of town meeting. Don't confuse the article with the motion. The motion tells you where the money is coming from. The article does not.
Yes, and the motion doesn't mention the enterprise fund.
Well, then now you can amend the motion.
All right, so we have the authority to amend a motion? Is that the point? Or the motion to approve? You're saying the motion to approve contingent on, so our motion would state, but when town meeting happens, they're going to say, would the Finance Committee please read the motion? They're going to read an edited motion, or they're going to, because we have a recommendation that comes after they read the motion. So Vaughn will be asked to read the motion, and then what's your recommendation? So where are we inserting language that changes the source of borrowing? In our recommendation or in the actual motion?
Are you asking
I
for
don't know why
changing the
this
motion?
isn't, I don't think it's a rhetorical question. We're talking about a language change. Where are we putting it? Because there's two times where if we say positively in favor, we're going to be reading the motion into the town meeting, and then they're going to say, okay, Finance Committee, what did you decide? Well, we decided in favor. However, we've got these caveats around it, right?
Well, the motion was to accept and recommend this article.
Right.
So, unless you want to amend it, but I have a concern about changing the language without knowing exactly what you should be putting in there. This has gone through council and bond council. I'd prefer that if you want to change the motion, that you do that at town meeting when you have the time to get the proper language that you would need. That would be my recommendation.
So what's the, okay, before we take a vote, why don't we explain, to everybody what we're voting on?
You're voting on the article as it is right now.
As it is, right. But then there were going to be recommendations that we were going to make, and we'll do that afterwards, right?
We'd be voting on the proposed motion here. I mean, that's essentially what.
Understood.
Yeah. Cynthia, did you want to add something to this?
Yeah. Let's be so literal. Those are proposed motions. Your responsibility is to make your motion. And Vaughn is not a professional reader. He's the chair of your committee, and he's reading your motion.
I might be a professional reader. So what's the will of the committee on this?
I think we ought to just vote up and down on the motion.
Okay.
I mean, I just brought up the point, if you guys at town meeting, when you're sitting up there and talking about this, you want to bring it up, or if you want to give Bob Mullen a call or somebody and say, look, we think you ought to clarify this as an amendment to the motion, that's what we think, but as far as I'm concerned, I think we need to do the work, and I think that the language is general enough so you can go either way.
Okay. Elliot, did you have something to add to this?
I see no reason why we couldn't put a recommendation in there that, in fact, they look to other sources of funding, take any actions relative thereto. However, I wouldn't put contingent upon or put any contingency on there, because if you do that, then you'll be voting the article up or down, and you may need the thing. So don't put a contingency on it. If you want to put a recommendation that tell the Finance Committee recommends that any monies that are available from the enterprise fund or any other grants be used to defray the cost.
The only money you're looking for is to cover the debt service. You're not covering the loan. It's going to be borrowed under the Chapter 44, Section 7.
Borrowed no matter what.
It's a matter of is that just automatic that it would be under the enterprise fund taking on that debt service? I don't know what money is in the enterprise fund. If the enterprise fund doesn't have any money, it's not going to be able to take it anyway. And I honestly just don't know right now what the
I'm thinking
what
in the
the fund
past,
is
it might
for.
have mentioned it. in
If
the motion.
available.
They may have, and that's, but I say, I don't know just what language you would need, and unfortunately, we don't have any professionals here to guide us on our,
All right.
on our
Why don't-
path, so.
Why don't we vote up
I
and
mean,
down and make
you
a
can certainly vote on this, and you could get the
first-
consensus of the committee if they want, Vaughn, and, to look further to see about if we want to make sure that this could be covered by the enterprise, the debt service on the enterprise, what do we need to do to this? And then have that on the virtual table when we go to town meeting.
It's fine with me.
Okay.
There may be some money available for MWRA, too, so.
Well, we did ask about that, too.
Yeah.
So, okay, Article 17, we have a motion and a second.
Then again, maybe not.
Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Diane?
So that's. Abstain, wait,
Oh.
hold the abstain, so we,
11 to 1
11 to
to
1.
1.
No, we have 14.
I forgot Eric came, sorry.
You know what?
I wrote
Put me
12,
down-
too.
Put me down for a no.
That's what
I'll
you-
take a no. Yeah, I'll take a no.
All right, do this again. Do it again, because you just,
All in favor? Okay, all opposed?
so there's 2
Any
opposed and
abstention?
1 abstention. So that's 11-4.
I took a no, yeah, because that's an abstention. Yes.
11-2-1.
Yeah, only because I think we need to clarify that, but we can clarify it, later. But anyway,
I'd like to clarify that I voted no because I really don't think we should be borrowing money at this time. I think it should be passed on to the regular town meeting.
Okay, 18 and 19 were done.
18, 19 are done. Article 20, Clean Streets Bylaw. Do we have a motion on Article 20, Clean Streets Bylaw?
What was this?
I hope we did, because I'm just looking for a motion for it. Yes, we discussed this.
Yeah, this is,
Article 20, yeah, we talked about this. I remember,
yeah, this is,
because I remember what I
this
spoke
is the one
about.
that's being threaded throughout the,
Yeah. Yeah. They are withdrawing one of the other ones because Article 20 is almost a duplicate.
yeah, they withdrew
I think it was 11.
the solid waste.
Article 20, do we have a motion on Article 20, the Clean Streets Bylaw? Although I don't know why bylaw is 2 words here, but anyway. Yeah.
This would need a two-thirds majority.
A majority
This
vote.
needs a majority vote.
Yep. So do we have a motion on Article 20, Clean Streets Bylaw?
I mean, we got to have, I'll move that we,
Mark, are you doing it?
Yeah. I propose that the town vote to amend, the Stoughton Town Job bylaws as printed in the warrant for Article
Okay,
20.
so
20. So he's voting to accept and recommend.
accept and recommend. Okay, do we have a second then?
I'll second it.
Elliot?
Or Elliot, good. Mark and Elliot, all right.
Motion and a second on Article 20, Clean Streets Bylaw. Any discussion on this?
I know you had some issues with,
I
yeah.
have issues.
So why don't you go ahead and, I'll give you permission to go first. How's that?
Thank you. I stated my issue that night. I don't really like a bylaw that is going to restrict that people can't bring their trash out before 7 o'clock. I don't think it's safe. And that's the short version of my views on this.
Yeah.
Because the sun sets at like 4:15 in December. So that means people will not, according to the bylaw, be able to bring their trash to the curb before 7 o'clock, which is almost 3 hours after the sun goes down. It's not safe in the winter. And then even something like, so you could have elderly people have to get their trash down. They have to wait till 7 o'clock. Otherwise, they potentially could. There's a fine in here, out of cycle rubbish collection. So if you bring your trash down at 4 o'clock, are you subject to a $100 fine? It could be considered out of cycle.
Right,
And
first offense.
it's first offense. Even something as simple as going to town meeting. Town meeting representatives, town meeting starts at 7. you would not be able to bring your trash down. You would have to get home from the meeting, even come into the Finance Committee meeting. You couldn't bring your trash before. You'd have to wait till you got home, which could be 11 o'clock after town meeting. Hopefully that's not the case tonight here at Finance Committee. But that's my objection to this. I don't like that portion of the bylaw, and it's a complete bylaw. And there was discussion that night about amending it, and I don't think that's the way you pass good bylaws, is piecemeal amending a piece on the floor and all. That's just my opinion. A bylaw should be a complete bylaw that's good with everybody, not a last minute, oh, we need to fix this. So I'm opposed to it for that reason.
And just to piggyback on that, and I'll bring this up every time this comes up after what happened. We were told that night, well, we're not going to enforce that. It's not going to, we know there's some. Let me tell you, we had an issue come up, and town council was sitting here. We were having a meeting, and a question was raised, and this is what town council did. This is what I had certified from town meeting. I can only go by the written word. So I mentioned it at that time. I said, thank you, you just confirmed. It's only what's in writing. It's not what you're told. So if it's in here that you can't bring it out before 7, I don't care what they tell you, how lenient they're going to be. The bylaw is written, so it is, And I just remember, and that had to do with a project not to be named. But that was his response. He held up his certified copy of the town meeting record with the nice gold seal, and that's what he said. I can only go by what's here, so it matters not what you're told. And I think it's a valid point, and I'll bring up another point that Ms. Walsh brought up that night, is if you have someone who isn't able to do it themselves, or if they need help getting the trash out, and that person only can come by before 7 o'clock, what do you do then? And that's a valid concern. And now you're bringing up all these samples of what might happen, and maybe they just need to do a little more homework on how they want to set that up. I know what the intent is, to clean streets. And I don't know if you've driven around yesterday, today, anytime this week, the new rules are in place, and how much trash do you see still sitting on the side of the road, some with the orange stickers, some without, because they're not following the rules that just went into effect on the 1st. So much for your clean streets. It's getting worse.
Dave, do you have something to add to this?
Yeah, things like this, I tend to be, more of like a libertarian when I think about what can government do to control my behavior on things, and this smacks of it. I mean, you have trash. I mean, get over yourselves. I mean, town is not going to be able to, with a stroke of a pen, eliminate the eyesore of trash. I'm sorry, it's not.
It'd be like trying to get rid of dog poop.
Exactly.
We're not going to go down that road here.
I was a libertarian then, and I'm a libertarian now. So,
because we got rid of plastic bags.
All kidding aside,
we're going to keep the comments on track.
I think you just end up creating a lot of excess laws, because you go down this slippery slope, and you're going to start trying to control our behavior on many, many things for the sake of the beautification of our town, which I think everybody in the community has to step up and have a positive attitude about their town so that they take care of their own property and beautify it that way, instead of trying to enforce it with some laws that you have to now hire compliance officers to go around and slap fines on people all day long. I mean, it's just, at what point does it become ridiculous? And that's why I don't like this article.
Okay, any other comments? Elliot, you have something?
This is just very brief, I hope. As I was leaving my house today to come to this meeting, I had to be here before 7 o'clock. As I was leaving earlier today for some other appointment, I see somebody coming up the street with a bag of trash and dropping it on my house. And in the street, there was, those tomato cages they got, wire things. There was one in the street. So coming on my way here, I had to take that up, try to bend it up and put it in my trash barrel so it wouldn't be on the street. And that would easily perforate a tire. So penalizing people $100 because they're out there 15 minutes early, or 20 minutes late because they work second shift or something like, no. It's nice to have clean streets. Yeah, we want all clean streets, but the town, I don't think, should be in this trash patrol. It's just, no, it goes a little bit too far. The intent might have been fine, but the implementation is not to my liking. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on Article 20? Diane?
I'm with you, Elliot. Thank you, Vaughn. I don't like this whole cycle of what's going to be charged for everybody. And then, of course, in addition, at the bottom, at the very end of the article, it talks about they might take a civil action against someone. Really? For putting trash out? I mean, it just seems like it's going, like Dave said, way too far. There, and I know Cynthia was here too, I know a lot of you were, the night that they discussed all of this trash, it was a standing room only here. I think a lot of people are not happy that this is what's going on, and to add insult to injury by adding this on top of it, I think would be a mistake. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hi, everyone. Sorry I was late. Day job turned into evening job. But first, I'm glad, John, that you reminded me of the comment that they just wouldn't enforce it during this part, because as I recall too, part of the conversation was a dedicated Stoughton employee for enforcement, and I couldn't wrap my head around the idea that we'd be paying someone specifically to enforce a law that they're not going to enforce. So there's just like layers to me of nonsense. And I also just, if it's not too much of a tangent, want to register, I think it's related enough, register my surprise and confusion at how quickly beautification seems to have become the top priority of our town's administration. Maybe that's just my sense of it from what I have seen and what's been communicated, but it's been very surprising to me that suddenly is the top priority, given everything that I feel like we've encountered in the last year or two that to me would be more urgent. And to me, this process rushing through a bylaw at a special town meeting of all places is just a part of that really surprising process to me. And so for all of those reasons, I join everyone in not supporting this.
Well, thank you very much for that. John?
I mean, like two previous speakers said, I'm a fairly libertarian individual myself, and if you're going to hire a compliance officer, the start is the trash. Are we going to have too tall a grass next? Are we going to have, they're going to need a job. We got to fill that role somehow, and we're going to justify that pay scale. If we're going to justify that pay scale on that role, trash is just the beginning. We got to go further because they're going to want raises and steps and so forth, and this is just the beginning. And beautification, like a previous speaker just said, this is a kind of an odd thing to be focused on. There are bigger problems that we should be focused on, and again, trash is the first step, in my opinion, and they'll find a way to segue into something else. And this law, if we allow for it, is just be the first of a series of too many laws against the people of Stoughton.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion on this? John?
First, I want to thank our colleague Dave for bringing this up, because I think that's a good point in the way to look at it. And I know the joke I made, that was just a joke, but I think it's a good thing you brought up. And just to expand on what Diane said, it's not just civil. It says they can bring civil or criminal as they see fit. That's a big difference, civil, criminal. So I'm opposed to this as a number of issues that have been raised. I think it just shows they're trying to rush through things. They haven't really vetted through everything, and if this is what goes in, again, that's what our council has told us. As it's written, so may it be. That's it. That's what you live by.
I just want to say, Vaughn, if I can, I was actually thinking, and I was kind of down going into this, thinking, we're going to have to do an up-down vote without talking about this stuff, because I didn't want to just start off by saying what I had to say, but because you brought up the 7 o'clock thing, I felt more comfortable getting into it with the rest I had to say, so thank you.
You're welcome. So I encouraged you to speak tonight.
That's why I asked him to go first.
Elliot, do you have anything to add to this?
Yes, thank you. If you'll forbear me just a little bit. I think it's ironic that we passed an ordinance that you couldn't use or give away single-use plastic bags of less than 4 mils, 0.4 mils in a supermarket. However, we have plastic milk jugs, plastic trash cans, plastic trash bags that are all bottles with or without a deposit, and we're required to put it in plastic bags. So it's just, I think it's just a little bit ironic.
All right. Thank you.
Forgive my ranting and raving.
Thank you very much. Any other comments on Article 20? We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor? All opposed? Aye. Any abstentions? Okay. Okay, next on here we have
21.
Article 21. Do we have a motion for Article 21? Municipal charges lien.
Oh, I'll move that we accept and recommend this article.
Second.
Chet's a second on that. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Article 21, municipal charges lien. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Eric's opposed. Any abstentions?
We got 2
Diane's
there?
opposed.
2 opposed?
Any
Okay.
abstentions? None? Okay.
Can you say the count?
12 to 2.
12-2.
12 to.
Okay, next we have Article 22.
Mr. Chairman, I think there were 3 no's on that.
Oh.
It was myself, Diane, and Jonna.
Did you vote?
John, did you vote no? I'm sorry. Okay.
3 no's.
We have 3 no's. Thank you for that, Eric. Thank you very much.
11 to
That would
3.
be 11 to 3.
Yes.
Sorry, Diane, I didn't see you. Vaughn's in the way.
I don't want to encourage any talk from Dave, so, you know.
Thank you, Eric.
Okay, it's 11 to 3. Thank you very much, Eric. All right, so we have 11 to 3 on that. Article 21. Now we're going to Article 22, implementing a Town of Stoughton communication program. Do we have a motion on Article 22? Diane's motion. Do we have a second on that? Who was that?
Who was that?
No seconds. Do we have a second on Article 20?
Well, I'm going to second it because I want to vote on it.
Laura's
Okay,
a second?
Laura second.
Okay, Diane's, okay. Laura's a second. Article 22, implementing a Town of Stoughton communication program. Any discussion on this? We have a lot of discussion on there. Mark?
During the discussion of everything, I couldn't remember when and what the cost was for the new current website that we have.
I can't hear you, Mark. Yeah.
What the cost is for the current website, new current website that we have. If
You mean the
it's
existing one?
No, because it was redone.
Oh, the redo recently.
The new redo recent, how much did that cost?
30 sounds about right. 30,000, not $30. But yeah, 30,000 sounds right.
Okay, because if
yeah.
that's the case, then like, this is only like 100,000. So a new site, if that was just a redo, we're already at 30,000. Like, I don't see this estimated cost as being enough to do what they want to do with this whole entire program.
Well, according to this, they want to implement the Town of Stoughton communication program consisting of training department heads and boards under the appointing authority, Select Board, Town Manager, Public Information Officer, and 2, hiring a Public Information Officer under the direction of Town Manager, and 3, improving or creating a new Town of Stoughton website. Yeah, I mean, that's the estimate they put in there, so.
Well, my thought on it is that it's going to cost way more than that to do all that they want to do.
Okay.
So I'm voting no on this.
All right, thank you. Any other comments on that? John, you have a comment on this?
Yes, first of all, they're trying to create a new position, which they figured would be half a year. they're looking to get $100,000. We have no cash. You can't be borrowing money to create positions. It's just not prudent. And I have no idea what the salary would be. If this was supposedly going to be just for the salary, you'd be looking at half of that for this year. They figured it would be 6 months. I strongly urge you to vote no on this because we should not be creating positions that we cannot fund at special town meeting, and we certainly don't want to borrow the money to do it. That's my recommendation. Thank you.
All right, Joel, do you have a comment?
First of all, John, I don't think it says anything about borrowing in here. So, but besides that.
There is no cash.
Well, I understand that. That's what I was going to say. There is nothing in here about borrowing. So I got a little confused. And this actually came up when we were discussing this the other night. I agree with Mr. Gito that some type of strong communication program would be beneficial to the town. But in my opinion, this particular motion, the way it's written, with no details, with no job description, with no understanding of what the impact would be, what the final results would be, this is something that really has to be taken a look at. And like I think I said at the public hearing, this seems to be something that we should be looking at an annual town meeting because it's going to be a new position and it's going to be part of the operating budget. In that regard, even though I like the concept of it, I would vote against this.
All right, thank you very much for that, Joel. Do we have any other comments on this? Dave.
Thank you, Vaughn, through you. The point about the website, it doesn't matter how much money you set aside. They could spend $3 million and do a Munis-sized project to try to rebuild that website, and it's not going to get easier to use. The reason is that there's so much information that they have to pile into the website. So no matter what you do, no matter how pretty you make it, no matter how slick it looks, you're still going to have to click multiple times to try to find and dig into what you want. I don't care, no matter, so this will be throwing good money after bad and over and over again until they get this perfect, designed website. On the position, I don't think the town manager should be asking for a new position because I think the kind of thing he needs is probably just to contract with somebody on his consulting line and just get some extra help from his own budget. He probably can do it. I don't think he needs a town meeting vote to say how many people does it take for me to run my department properly. I just don't understand why he's asking. So that's why I'd vote no, is that, and by the way, philosophically, I don't think you want an information officer because we don't want a ministry of truth telling us what's right and wrong. That's right. That's right. Who's the man? Who's behind the curtain? Doing it. No, I think it's absurd to think that you could stop rumors because you hired somebody. Are you kidding me? I think you just end up feeding more into the rumors and conspiracies when you start adding layers like that. So I think it's absurd to think that you could stop rumors. So
thank you for that, Dave. Elliot, did you have something to add to this?
Yes, Elliot. Well, thank you for anointing me the minister of truth here. What I'm concerned about is, first of all, is this is a lot of money for doing something that the various department heads, if this is going to be a gathering point so John can look at something going on at the DPW, and you could look at the rec department or the wrecking yard. And that information should be available from the various department heads. And if somebody needs it, they click on the DPW or whatever to get that information that they desperately need, if they desperately need it. But hiring somebody at $100,000 or $140,000 to be a gatekeeper and I don't like what you're going to tell me, so I'm not going to put it in there. I'm the communications officer. No, I don't think this is a grand idea. I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's a very bad idea.
All hail.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Do we have any other discussion on Article 22? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Okay. All opposed?
Aye. So that unanimous 14-0?
No.
Oh, and abstain. We have one abstain. How many yeses are there?
There's one yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, one yes,
Yes.
12 no,
Did you abstain?
and we have an abstention? Oh, somebody. No, it's 1, 12-1.
Okay. Any abstentions? I didn't call for that. That's why. Okay. Okay. Article 23. Revolving fund from surplus equipment. Do we have a motion on Article 23? Revolving fund from surplus equipment. Now, this article creates the revolving fund. And I'm clarifying this because I went home last night thinking the discussion kind of got a little confusing. This article is not whether or not we should sell surplus equipment. The article is about creating a revolving fund, and I just wanted to be clear just in case anybody wasn't aware of that. I know we have a couple of new members. I just wanted to kind of bring that out. It's not about whether or not we should dispose of old equipment.
Thank you, Vaughn. I'd like to make a
You're welcome.
motion that we accept Article 23, revolving fund from surplus equipment.
Okay. Thank you, Dave. Diane, you get the second? Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on Article 23? Mark?
Yeah, I'm voting no on this because due to the discussions we had, once this goes into effect, our next surplus equipment that will be sold won't be for another 5 or 10 years. So this account will be sitting empty with zero money in it for 5 to 10 years.
All right, thank you for that. Any other discussion? Article 23? Dave, you have something to add to this?
Yeah, I think the discussion from last night, I think, was, I didn't agree with the case that, somebody shouldn't be able to just keep the money in their department, which I think is the opposite. I think that when town meeting votes for a piece of equipment, that they're voting to give that department 100% of the value of that equipment over time, depreciation or not. They get 100% of what was appropriated at the time town meeting did it. So to think that somehow that because they sold it, it doesn't belong to them, I think is completely the opposite thinking that should go into that. As far as money that can go into it, I'm not sure that they can't just keep running auctions over time. I don't know why it takes 5 years to do one. And I don't know why there's not other ways in which money might show up there from other proceeds that show up. So I don't really know. Maybe it is 5 years, I don't know, but I'm in favor.
Yeah.
Right, thank you for that. Dave, Mark, did you want to reply to that?
The revolving fund is only from surplus equipment. That's it. And they said that they're going to have an auction this October, and they probably won't have another one for another 5, 10 years.
Correct.
It is listed in the article, Dave.
Yeah, through you.
So you you can't put any free cash in, you can't put anything. It's only for surplus equipment.
Yeah, but I don't, it might only be, at the end of an auction where they sold 2/3 and there's still 1/3 of the equipment that hadn't been sold yet, and they want to liquidate the leftover assets some future time. Who knows? I mean, it might only be $50. Maybe it's $5,000. I don't know how much it is.
I think Mark's referring to what they said last night, that it would be years.
Right.
Okay, well,
Unless I misheard. And
I don't see any harm in having a fund there.
Lauren, do you have something on this?
I took it as potentially it could be 5 years before another auction, not that
Okay.
it's going to be 5 years.
Oh, go ahead.
Maybe it's potentially 5. Eric?
Sorry, my train of thought. I was actually torn on this one, but I want to appreciate what you brought up last night on just bringing up the DLS guidance and the law itself. Just because then, just considering that, it seems like it's an entirely inappropriate purpose for a revolving fund. So that alone would actually dissuade me from it. But then also just the practicality that Mark brought up. If they're planning on holding the auction at the end of this month, then this should be a non-issue because we're auctioning and presumably receiving those funds before town meeting can even approve the revolving fund. And I'm actually, and this is nothing personal against the Selectman Carrera, but like I'm actually kind of bothered by the suggestion that we would, in a gentlemanly way, slide it across the table. That to me is actually the opposite of good governance, and if I wasn't already dissuaded, that kind of did it for me. So for those reasons, maybe we can revisit this at another time, but yeah, that's where I'm at.
All right, thank you very much for that. Jonna, you have something on this?
Yes, through you. I just feel it's such a good thing because we're paying all that extra money in insurance, and I want to see all this junk go away, and I just think it's a very prudent thing to do, and I don't want to see a creative idea being torn apart just because we don't know what's going to end up with the money. That's just my take on it.
All right, thank you very much for that. Elliot, you have something?
Well, John had his hand up first.
Okay.
And he's closer.
John?
Okay, first, this has nothing to do whether the auction would, I'm going to read what the chairman said. This has no bearing on whether the auction is going to be held or not. The auction is going to be held. I'm against this article. Number one, every revolving fund we have is funded by receipts that department brings in for things they provide that they get fees for. I don't believe they own this equipment. The taxpayers paid for it, and I don't believe it should stay there. I believe this opens the door for any other department that may have items that they want to sell and keep the money themselves. I think it's a bad precedent. Every other fund we have is derived by fees. By the way, you go on Framingham, you won't find a DPW revolving fund. And every revolving fund they have in Framingham is funded by fees and so forth. Nothing from sales. I think this is a bad precedent to set. I really do. There are other departments that have physical items that could be sold off. Should they be able to keep the money? I don't think so. I don't like it when we vote articles and then they use the money for something else and come back later and said, oh, we reprioritized and did something different. I don't think this is a good idea. We gave them $150,000 already in May of town meeting for unknown extraordinary expenses. I was kind of leery about even doing those because it's just something that I didn't quite agree with. But I don't believe this should be done this way. I don't think the article should go through, and I'm opposed to it. I was opposed to it last night, and nothing's changed my mind on that. So I would recommend we vote against it.
Thank you very much for that. Any other comments? Elliot?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Many people have pointed out, and John, I appreciate your input on that. We already have, as he so rightfully pointed out, we're going to be selling this, or the DPW is going to sell it. If it was going to be some kind of enterprise fund, if, for instance, the fire department has a pumper or something they want to get rid of, okay, they'd have to have a separate auction because it's not the DPW's equipment. If it's an enterprise fund and it's specifically for them, then that's going to be, all those monies would have to stay with them. So, John, you're right, it's the town's money. If they take the receipts of this auction, put it back in the general fund, that money will be there if they need it next year. So we don't have to do, as almost everybody said, there's no harm in getting rid of stuff that's no good and selling it for the best price you can get. But no, an enterprise fund is too restrictive, not required, and it may in fact be illegal.
I think you mean a revolving fund.
He means revolving fund. Yes, revolving.
Sorry.
Yes.
It's a good thing you're good looking.
Any other comments on Article 23? Mark?
I may be wrong, and I'm trying to think with every annual town meeting, or spring town meeting, don't we have an article that already authorizes the select board and everything to sell and have auctions? I was looking at the last one, and there's Article 5, which is disposal of town property. So that already has a...
Yes, that's why I mentioned early on that this article is not about whether or not.
That's what I'm
Yeah, I mean,
let people know that there's already an article that says that we can have auctions, so we don't need to have a revolving
this
fund.
isn't about auctions. This is about creating a revolving fund. So.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, the value of the revolving fund is so that it's liquid funds available for services that the DPW would use it for, not to buy any new equipment. It's using old equipment to fund services that they'd otherwise have to come to us or somewhere else to try to get transfers done for unforeseen and things like that. So that
Actually, the program or purpose listed here says to fund extraordinary repairs and unanticipated replacement of equipment.
Yeah, they can buy equipment through
It
this.
says in it.
right, repairing is, I meant new, not new equipment.
It says replacement of equipment.
Replacement. You can buy a brand-new truck with this.
So that means you could take truck 48, get rid of it, and buy a new one. It circumvents town meetings' authority on how to spend the town's money. That's how this equipment was all bought. That's who should be determining how the money gets spent once they auction it off.
Well, the language should not have for new equipment. I don't
Well,
see it.
we didn't write the
It
language.
says replacement of equipment.
I'm looking for the language, but I'm
looking at it.
If you're listening to me, I'm kind of agreeing with you. So I
I'm
don't
looking
know-
at it.
Don't yell at me if I'm agreeing with you. It's kind of not the idea.
I'm not yelling.
Any-
I'm not yelling. I just talk loud.
We have any other comments on Article 23, revolving fund from surplus equipment?
Yeah, that's new.
Diane, you have a comment on this?
Thank you, Vaughn, and I wish I had asked this the other night, too. I believe we do have a maintenance line in the DPW budget, do we not?
Yep.
Do we know how much that was? Again, sorry I didn't bring my book in from last time to see
How much
that
the
was.
maintenance,
How much is the maintenance line for the DPW?
hold on.
Well, while John's looking that up, I'm going to see
I'll
if
see
there's
if I can find it.
any other comments on Article 23, revolving fund from surplus equipment. Okay.
I'm sorry, I should know, well.
Well, I mean, I know that it was previously mentioned that there are two different articles that were there for $75,000 each. The maintenance line, I don't remember what it
Something like
is.
that, yeah.
I thought it was somewhere around that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have it right off the top of
No.
my,
Joel, did you find it? No?
Well, I got the budget in front of me, but it's going to take a while.
Okay. All right, so my point, and if it is around 75,000, isn't that for the small incidentals that they need at the DPW?
The $75,000 article wasn't part of the budget. There were two separate articles,
Article
each for
43 and 46.
$75,000. There were two articles. One was for equipment or something. There was
you had town buildings and,
Right.
buildings is one. I think.
yeah,
DPW
43
the
was,
other.
it was for town buildings, and 46 was the other one. That was for extraordinary repairs to fleet.
So one is for the fleet, so that's
Right.
75. That's the article.
Right.
That doesn't include their actual budget.
Right.
There's money in the budget. Yes, Joel?
Yeah, according to the budget for fiscal year '22, I'm looking at the actuals, and the line item, vehicle maintenance and operating services, $365, equipment repair services, $300. So I'm sure I'm missing something somewhere.
Okay, thank you.
Wow.
Any other comments on Article 23, revolving fund from surplus equipment? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, so we have
5.
Okay, all in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All opposed?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 to 5. 5 to 9.
Just, I'm not going to ask for any kind of language thing, but
Hang on a second. Hang on. Okay,
too late.
we're going to call for the vote again.
We got-
All in favor?
Aye, it's 4.
If you're in favor of the article. All opposed?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 4 to 10.
Just for the record,
Okay, Dave?
I just wanted to state that my yes vote would be, and I'll say it at the town meeting, I'm not going to ask for any language or anything. I'm saying my yes vote is based on the fact that it wouldn't be for replacement equipment,
Well,
with that exception. But I'm saying I'll bring it up
the
at town
article's the
meeting.
article, I
No,
mean,
Vaughn, I'm not asking to change anything. The vote is the vote, the language is the language. I just wanted to say for the record that my yes vote is going to also include a comment that I'll bring up at town meeting.
okay, so your yes
Is-
vote would have
I'm a
been...
yes vote, but I would drop the language of replacement.
All right, we have completed all the articles, I believe,
That's
unless
it.
someone wants to tell me I skipped one.
Nope, we got them all. I checked them off as we went through.
Okay.
And so
Anything else?
just to let you know, we'll start.
Oh, did everyone get the email today? I sent a bunch of emails today. Everybody get the email? I just thought I'd ask.
It's not the new one.
There was an equipment list, I think, sent through the guy.
Your old one doesn't, but I noted.
Anything else anyone wants to discuss? Do we have a motion maybe to adjourn?
Joel found that it was 56 plus, right? 56,000 plus for the maintenance.
$6,000, there was one
For
line item
maintenance.
for equipment repairs.
Right.
That was the actual from '22. The budgeted was $30,000. And I think Mr. Jaffoon understands what he needs for his repairs, so I'm not going to worry about it too much.
All right. Anything else? Do we have a motion?
Just to let people know, Vaughn and I will be working on this through the weekend, trying to get this book together and so we can get it out of here and move it along.
Got to get that book done, so.
Nah, I should be done with this fairly quick. It's only 23 articles. It's not like we got 82. It's not. It should be one book, too.
Was that a motion to adjourn, Laura?
I had my hand up.
Okay,
Are you
Dave?
not recognize,
I-
you don't want to recognize
I
me?
can, yes, Dave, what is it? I didn't see your hand up. I was listening to...
Last night, we talked about subcommittees. I want to add another subcommittee that I'll help run, which is for joint costs. There's been a lot of talk about joint costs subcommittee.
Okay.
That it's important because they're going to be going through line item by line item where it actually falls. I'd like to be brought into that set of deliberations to see exactly how that breakdown is going to happen. And I think that, and I'll be more than happy to write a report that I think the Finance Committee should have and would probably appreciate seeing a report on those two things.
Well, we haven't done the subcommittee things in a few years, and I don't know that we would need a subcommittee, as you said, for you to run yourself on the schools and on the...
Yeah, Vaughn, it's part of the charter.
Oh, it is?
It's part of the charter that we have the ability to do it, and I'm volunteering to do it. Why would you say that if you want to put in the energy and work into doing it, why would you say no?
What part of the charter says that you would have your own
It says that you have an
personal
option of being
subcommittee?
able to bring up subcommittees. It's in the charter. You don't have to. It's not
Mandatory?
mandatory. It's not mandatory.
Okay, I thought you were telling me the charter was
Voluntary.
mandatory.
It's voluntary, and I'm volunteering.
I don't know that we would be having...
It doesn't require a vote because it's in the charter. You just have to say, go for it, Dave. That's all you have to do.
Haven't said go for it, though.
You haven't, but I think you should.
Thank you very much for your input. Do we have anything else that anybody would like to discuss? Mark?
Actually, is there any more Finance Committee meetings before the special town meeting for minutes or anything like that we need to get out of the way?
We might try to
Let's
get
get in
one
the holiday
done for the
season.
minutes prior to that. Like I said at a different meeting, we're going to try to keep on top of the minutes and make sure we get them all approved. And that's one of the reasons we did the minutes for August 16. So we'll probably try to have them before town meeting just to bang these out, these last couple meetings.
And I believe we did receive minutes for the 27th from
Yeah, I think we
Dolores,
just
so-
got them, so it takes a little bit to get the minutes in, and then,
Right.
yeah. Otherwise, we-
Just so everybody can plan accordingly.
Yeah, we will try to have a meeting just to approve minutes. It's not that glamorous, but we have to do it, so, yeah.
And then the meeting we have to do that, we have to have another meeting to approve those minutes.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's
Joel?
never ending. It's perpetual motion.
It's just a small, this is a John Anzavino detail, just a small detail, but the first thing we voted on were the minutes of October 15th?
Tonight was
August 16th.
August 16th.
August 16th, and there were some people in this room that weren't at that meeting,
That's correct. And everybody voted.
but the persons that were at that meeting did not vote to abstain. If you take a look at the vote,
I know, everybody that was here voted in favor of accepting the minutes.
how can you vote in favor of accepting the minutes if you?
Well, you can read minutes, you could have watched the meeting, and you're allowed to vote on it. I mean, if people want to recuse themselves because they weren't there, that's their prerogative.
Okay.
But I mean, if you have watched a meeting or what have you, you could do that. And I think the August 16th was the meeting we had to approve minutes.
No, I understand what it was. No, I'm just saying, even at that meeting, there were people that,
Well, I mean, if you want, we can ask if people want to reconsider.
that's kind
And
of what I'm asking.
I'll
just
tell
to feel
you
safe.
that from that meeting, the two people that are here now are Adam and John Walsh, that were not at that meeting.
Okay. Do we have a motion to
Yes, they
reconsider
were-
the
they
vote
were-
of
they had
approving
no-
minutes of August 16th? Is that what we're hearing?
Well, yeah, I think if we just
If-
approve it, and the people that weren't at the meeting, if they want to abstain, they can.
Okay. Are you making a motion for reconsideration? Do we have a second, a motion?
Move is to reconsider.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Fine, I'll second that.
Okay. Okay. Motion and a second to reconsider. All in favor to reconsider the vote of, okay, okay. All in
Aye.
favor? Aye. Okay. All opposed? Hearing none? Okay. The vote to reconsider has passed. We're going to approve the minutes of August 16th. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of August?
Motion to approve the minutes from August 16th.
Dave, is the, Joel?
Can I ask that at least someone read who was present at that meeting?
well, we're going to
Sure.
get the motion and the second, then we're going to do that. Motion second, Joel's the second. We have a motion and a second to approve August 16 minutes.
The people who were there were Vaughn, myself, Diane, Eric, Chet, Elliot, Laura, Dave, Mark, Joel. So the people who are still here, Adam and John Walsh, were not there. And obviously, the two new members weren't there because they weren't on at the time.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of August 16th. All in favor?
Aye.
Raise your hand. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
All opposed? Do we have anybody that would like to abstain or recuse themselves?
Okay, so
We have
we got
4.
Adam and John and Jonah.
And John's right, you can vote on minutes that you weren't actually here. It's allowed. As long as you feel that you're informed enough to know that the minutes are accurate, you can vote on them. But yeah. Anyway, we reconsidered. It's 10 to 4, 10 to 0 to 4.
10 to 0 with 4 abstentions.
Okay, anything else? I think there was a motion to adjourn from Laura. Do we have a second? Eric's got the second. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thanks for watching. Motion has passed. We are adjourned. Thanks for watching everyone from home. Have a good night.
9:57 Apple time.